Hi, everybody. Welcome to the meat grinder that is Valiant Effort. My name is Josh.
I'm Nick, and you're... Get some!
Hey, Nick, guess what? It's episode 30.
Oh, that's right, it is.
We've done 30 of these.
I thought that the number 30 meant we did 35.
Thank you for your math lesson. I can't believe that when we started last April, that we would have done 30 episodes. I think it's pretty cool.
I didn't know how many we would have done before we stopped, and we have far exceeded my expectations.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Hey, so I started watching a new anime. It's kind of like the Valiant version of, or the anime version of Valiant in a way. Or more specifically, it's what I thought Quantum and Woody would have been.
Okay.
When I first read the first book, because it's about this guy who wants to be a superhero, but all he does is fight bad guys that do the most mediocre crimes, such as jaywalking, littering, causing a public nuisance. And the funny thing is that this guy, like, everyone scoffs at the dude and just laughs at him, and they beat him up for it. But he keeps gaining notoriety because people are capturing him on their cell phones, saying, "Who is this guy?" And then he keeps getting YouTube. His videos go viral. And what's funny is that now everybody wants to know who he is. So they have a contest who's going to unmask him, and then all of a sudden this fake one comes out and says, "I'm the real guy," and he's this big buff dude, and the regular guy is like the original guy is just a scrawny old dude. And even sidekicks come out of the word work. It's actually really cool, and it's just like Quantum and Woody, or what I thought Quantum and Woody would have been a little bit.
What's the name of it?
It's called Samurai Flamenco. And that's the name. That's the name of his superhero character, Samurai Flamenco. He wears this red jumpsuit looking thing with a bicycle helmet and goggles and a scarf around his face so that no one can tell what he looks like. And the funny thing is that, you know, the general public is complaining about him. So they keep calling the cops, but just before all this happened, the Samurai Flamenco guy became a friend with a cop. So now that cop he's like, you know, do what you got to do, just don't do it on my time, because otherwise I'm going to have to arrest you. So it's actually really interesting, just because it's what I thought Quantum and Woody would have been.
You hear that, Valiant? You need to license this character and bring them into the Valiant universe. We want to read issue number 1 of Samurai Flamenco. Kozel is kidnapped by the Specialists, a group of Psyots led by the former head of Project Rising Spirit, Simon Oric. Bloodshot and the Hardcore head to Nigeria to rescue him, but the Specialists overpower them. Major Palmer is captured along with Genius and Flatline. Bloodshot and the other Hardcore members are forced to retreat. After splitting up, Bloodshot and the Hardcore are able to divide and conquer. After the rescue of Palmer, Oric is confronted by Bloodshot alone. In exchange for escape, Oric promises Bloodshot a cure for his nanites so that Bloodshot can truly be on his own, away from Project Rising Spirit. Bloodshot takes the cure. Months later, back at Project Rising Spirit's headquarters, Genius is killed, and it looks like Bloodshot is to blame. Bloodshot leaves the facility with the Hardcore hot on his tail. Bloodshot is able to fight off all the Hardcore members except Lifeline. She's able to incapacitate him. Bloodshot's broken body is airlifted back to the facility by Project Rising Spirit. Lifeline isn't sure she did the right thing helping to capture Bloodshot. She realizes that Bloodshot isn't responsible for Genius's death. She frees Bloodshot. Project Rising Spirit imprisons Lifeline, and a new batch of Hardcore recruits join the team. So, you did not like that episode. God, we're going to keep doing that throughout the whole series. We're just going to say episode instead of issue. You did not like that issue of Shadow Man with the 3 stories in one, and you didn't like that trade that had lots of different stories. So this was 2 stories plus a 0 issue that had 3 mini stories. So was this better than that Shadow Man? Did you feel the same way about reading mini stories, or was the narrative flowing well enough for you that it worked?
Well, at the beginning, I was confused because I thought I was going to be reading Bloodshot, not a Bloodshot hardcore story, because hardcore is not on the cover of this. So when I'm seeing, the Valiant's version of Bane come on out,
Big Boy.
Big Boy. I didn't know what was going on, so I was confused. It wasn't really doing it for me. But as the book went on, it kind of leveled out, and I enjoyed reading it. For the story, I didn't have any problems with that, I should say.
Did it flow better than that Shadow Man?
Yes. Yeah. Because it was all the one story, whereas in Shadow Man, it just felt like it was all over the place. This one was at least a cohesive story.
So even though it was divided into parts, it still
felt like
each part led into the next.
Yeah.
And you even felt that way about the 0 issue in the middle, the hardcore 0 issue?
Yeah. I recognized it was a 0 issue. I don't really look at the issue number when I'm turning the pages, so I don't really know what I'm getting myself into.
That's cool.
So
I kind of like that, actually.
so
just whatever I hand you, you just read it.
Yeah. And so even if it is a 0 issue, I just kind of take it as a flashback issue, not really as a prequel type issue. And that's what I thought it was. That's what I thought that was just a flashback. And we'll get to that flashback as it comes up, but that's the way I took it.
So the first story, all of this, by the way, is written by Christos Gage and Joshua Dysart. The first story is drawn by Bart Sears and Chris Cross, making
the
his
band.
Return.
Chris Cross, make ya
jump.
There you go.
Well, we did that in the previous issue.
Oh, we did. Oh, that's right, we did.
I said issue instead of episode. So when I'm talking about a comic book, I'm going to say episode. But when I'm talking about our show, I'm going to say issue.
It totally makes sense. That's how we should be. We're doing issue number. We're not doing episodes. We're doing issues. This is issue number 30 we're doing. That's cool and hip.
So Bart Sears has a very distinctive art style.
Bart Sears.
What'd I say?
Bart Steers.
Oh, no, I meant Bart Sears. Bart Sears used to draw X-O Man of War for the original Valiant universe. And he used to draw Turok, too. I don't think he did any issues of Bloodshot, but anyway, he has a very distinctive style. People are very muscly.
Yeah. Especially Big Boy.
Yeah. Did you like his...
No, I'm not a big fan of super buff people.
Yeah.
I was willing to let it go for Big Boy because that was his
power.
That was his MO, I guess. But I'm not a big muscly.
I mean, Major Palmer is, he's in his 50s and he's got 10 abs there. And all these muscles on his shoulders. This is a very 1990s style of drawing.
I got that feeling.
Yeah.
And even Genius, I didn't recognize that was Genius because of his pot belly. So it was very different than what I had seen him in before. I didn't realize it was Genius until episode episode 3 issue 3 or 4. Oh my god. I'm gonna be honest. Bart Sears is a fan favorite. People really like his stuff, but it's not my thing. I mean, I'm okay with it. I think it's serviceable. I think he does great panel layouts, and I think he draws action very well. But his characters are just too muscly looking for me, so I'm not really into it. Chris Cross did the flashbacks. I like that much more. I think that the characters are more realistic looking, although everybody looks like their clothes are too big. My favorite line in the first book, I think my favorite line in the whole book in general, and penis. Yep.
That was very funny. Kudos for making me laugh out loud.
The sniper chick that's apparently Big Boy's girlfriend.
Yeah.
how can she be like Daredevil and know where Bloodshot is moving before even Bloodshot knows? They didn't really go into her or any of their powers very well, or very much. I mean, they gave a brief description of what each one does, but how can she know what he's doing?
Maybe she's accessing the Akashic record.
They gave no evidence for that.
I don't know. I'm trying to give you an answer, Nick.
Does the Akashic record then know where everybody's going to move before they move?
Well, maybe it knows how they've moved before, so she can anticipate.
So, wait, they moved before, so this is not the first time that this has happened?
Well, no, this is not the first time Bloodshot's ever been in a fight.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about, like, this is a replay of all world's events.
Oh. No, we're not at Time Walker yet.
No, I'm talking about the philosophical idea called the eternal return.
Oh, nice. What's that?
It's when, after the universe ends, well, the universe basically collapses back in on itself, and then time starts over and re-expands, and then collapses back, and then re-expands over and over and over again. So this whole conversation we could be having the 8th time. We just don't know it.
Oh. It's all just a bunch of history repeating.
Yeah. And I've theorized that's what deja vus are, if that turns out to be the case. Because we've already experienced it before.
Well, then maybe that's what she's doing.
All right. So she's recognizing what her deja vus really are, and she's okay.
I could go for that. I thought she was pretty. I thought she was the best of the specialists.
Well, she's definitely the toughest.
Yeah,
or hardest to beat.
I thought that Cold War was kind of lame. Especially
what did he do?
Especially his costume. He has both heat and cooling powers, but it looks like electricity the way it's drawn.
Yeah.
And it really looks like electricity because Bart Sears, when he did his original X-O War run, had a character called Hotwire, who had a costume that looked very similar to that and had electricity powers, and I keep confusing it with that guy because it looks almost exactly the same, except this guy's bald. He's bald.
Yes, he is bald.
And Big Boy is just he's just a big boy.
He's Bane.
Yeah. And Chernobyl is so that's my favorite scene in the in all of this all these stories here is the scene between him and Vagabond. Between Chernobyl and Vagabond when Vagabond tells his history, and then
that was a great scene.
It was very moving and very powerful.
Absolutely.
And I felt sad for both of them. And I feel like their positions could have been reversed very easily, and Vagabond would have been happy to have taken the bullet.
I agree with that because he had a very sad story to tell, much like Chernobyl did. And I couldn't tell at the end, after Vagabond killed Chernobyl out of mercy, I couldn't tell if he just did that as a tactic or really to just put him out of his misery. Because then he knew that he had to get rid of Chernobyl anyway. So was he just trying to get personal with him so that they could connect and make it easier to kill him? Was it just a tactic? Or was he serious?
I think it was a tactic. I don't think that he was really that thrilled with the way he did it, which is why he needed to take a moment at the end. And we actually don't see him again in that story. Pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, and that's where the story started for me. That's where everything leveled off. Because before that, I didn't know what was going on, and I really wasn't much invested in it, and I didn't really care because I didn't know about these new people because we just keep getting introduced to new people seemingly every single trade. And I'm just like, okay, my mind can only hold so many people in my head. So I need to, like, There needs to be a breaking point, and I'm starting to get to that spot. And at least for villains, like new, because they just are so expendable. So this is where it started to level off for me, and I really started to get into the stories right at this spot. And after this, I was good.
I also really liked the interplay between Bloodshot and Auric at the end of that first story, where Auric gives Bloodshot the cure.
That was interesting too, because I couldn't tell what was up. Who was that? That was Auric, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. I was trying to figure out what was Auric's game.
Yeah, me too.
See, Auric's not just gonna do that and for free. He's got something up his sleeve. And the thing is that Bloodshot fell for it. I wouldn't trust anybody that works in that PRS organization or against that PRS organization. I don't trust anybody that wears a suit in Valiant. And everybody who doesn't trust the suits still trusts them after some lengthy discussion of how they should trust them. And there's always backfires.
If you wear a suit, you're a bad guy in Valiant.
Yes.
Or an old woman. Suits or old women. Bad guys.
That's true. Yeah. So why did Bloodshot take the shot? Because it was clear that he shot that stuff into him, so something's going to happen to Bloodshot now.
Well, the thing that happened to him is that he could leave hardcore.
I don't trust that.
Okay.
I don't trust that he can leave hardcore. I don't trust that he. I feel like what it's going to do is going to somehow keep him in play, or somehow restrict him in some way, so that Kozol or Auric or whoever will be able to take advantage of him and do whatever they want with him, and he'll have no say in it because he took this shot that incapacitated him.
I see, like some counter programming is put in there.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. So after the Get Some arc, that's where the Archer Armstrong Bloodshot hardcore crossover takes place.
Yeah.
So that's why we kind of saw Granite beginning her little relationship.
Yeah, but still, I didn't see it.
Yeah, you're just not buying it.
No, it still feels forced.
Okay.
All of a sudden, she comes in to rescue him, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so glad that you're safe." And he's like, "Well, they would have found someone else to replace me." She's like, "Not you." Where did this come from? There's no chemistry for me between. Did I just miss the part?
No, I don't think you did.
Oh. It's forced. It's forced. There does not need to be a relationship. Just because there's a guy or there's a male and a female in these roles does not mean that they need to hook up. Why does this always seem to be a mandatory thing within all media? It does not need to happen. Like back in the 90s with Hollywood, every action movie needed to have an explosion, big explosion, boom, blow, fire, boom, pow. Is not needed.
I think explosions are needed in movies.
They're cool, but not all the time.
Like True Lies.
Like True Lies or Face Off. When there's a boat chase and the boat goes flying in the air and blows up. It hits the water and it blows up. Not from where it hits the water, but at the top of the boat, which is in the air. Why? It's as superfluous as this relationship.
And the muscly artwork.
Yes, that too.
It's a 90s book.
It is a 90s book.
Through and through. So then we get the Zero issue, which is a Zero issue, not really. Bloodshot is very peripherally involved in it. but it's a hardcore zero issue.
Yeah, it was very intriguing. I liked it.
Yeah, we kind of get some history
Yeah,
of the hardcore. What was your? There's 3 stories. There's this 1970 story, a 1980 story, and a 1990 story.
I like the 1970s, the first generation one, the best.
Yeah, that was a great story.
It was cool to see how they were being built up and prepared.
It was also kind of neat to see how the technology looked with each generation. I mean, those guys were really hooked up. They were wearing heavy backpacks, wires into their heads.
And Samuel, like the toll it took on him, both mentally and physically.
Oh my God, that scene where he's dying in his bed and the guy says, "Happy birthday, you're 25 today." And he looked like he was, 95. 80. Yeah, jeez.
And he's like, "It's my birthday." Yes, Samuel, it's your birthday. He's like, "At least we won."
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he thinks he won in his eyes, and you know what? That's such a generic statement. You could easily say what he was thinking, that they won on humanity's front, or they won for PRS. I say he thought that they won the war.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And I'm sure that's what they meant, but I don't remember who the director was. It wasn't Kozal, but whoever it was said, we won for us. That's what I'm gonna take it as meaning. Who was that guy? Because was he the guy that got killed long ago in the
Bloodshot Zero issue?
I don't know if it was a Bloodshot Zero issue. It was
that guy. When you say that guy, you mean the doctor?
No, I'm talking about long ago. There was an issue that we read with Kozal and some other guy, and they were getting grilled by these other corporate bigwigs.
Oh, that was the Harbinger Wars. The other guy was Kozal's lawyer.
Oh, that was his lawyer. Okay.
Yeah, and he was just shot.
Okay.
Yeah. No, so like the doctor in this who's working on the implants, his name is Arthur Kendall.
I feel like we've read his name before.
Yeah, is he the? I don't have it in front of me. I don't think he's the guy from Bloodshot Zero. I don't think so. But it's really his story because we see he's the through line through the 3 generations.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty much his experiences from the first generation up to now.
Yep.
And just what he's seen and done and heard, and how he goes from here, how he survived.
So then the 80s story is about 2 members of the hardcore who want to get out.
That was a great story too.
And in the end, they just got their brains blown up.
Yeah, that was a really great story. The man who was right next to the doctor is like, "Oh, if you think of blowing up my brain, I'm right next to you." And he falls for such a simple trick, like, "Let me stand behind you."
Yeah.
Like, dude, are you an idiot? And what I actually thought was that they had planned the implants in their heads to just explode their heads internally, so that no matter how close you stand next to somebody, it's not going to do any damage outwardly.
Remember, we saw Maniac's head get blown up
Yeah.
in the previous volume, but Harada kind of contained that blast. So, yeah, it's quite the bomb. Could you imagine having a bomb in your head?
I don't want to.
No. And then the 1990s story is a major, Captain Palmer story, and then Bloodshot is kind of in it in a little bit too.
Yeah.
And Chris Cross does the art on that one.
I'm not making the joke this time.
Okay. I just wondered how many times I could say his name.
Okay.
So then we get to the next story in here, the last 2 issues. And this is Bloodshot versus the Hardcore. That's the name of the story. And Joshua Dysart is off the writing duties now. Joining Christos Gage is Duffy Boudreau, who's writing it, and Al Baranuevo is doing the artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In book 3, at the very end of it.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if that was the Bloodshot that we know.
Oh,
that
sure.
We've come to know, because there have been many different incantations or incarnations of him. And then I started thinking, does Bloodshot age at all? Is this? I just don't know because they all look the same, and it's pretty ambiguous as to which one that is, if it's him.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an artist choice because he does look a little different. We have seen different people with nanites, even in last episode where we talked about the Unity team from the 1940s. I wonder if it's the same blood though, every time.
Oh, yeah.
So
like the recycled blood.
So the nanites may be the same, and so there's an accumulative memory with different bodies.
Maybe that would be pretty kind of neat. So he has memories of different of old pasts stuck within him.
Yep.
All right. So book 4.
Yeah, Bloodshot versus Hardcore.
Yep.
So
this is a great story too.
Yeah, we get the. It opens up with just Genius getting his brain destroyed.
Yeah, and it looks like from this picture, I had already surmised that someone blew his head up. It was not Bloodshot that killed him. Like Bloodshot has nothing to gain from killing him.
Right.
And even though they had that little discussion that how he's going to die, Bloodshot is not the type of person to just go ahead and kill him for that reason. So it never even crossed my mind that Bloodshot killed him.
Not really for me either. I was always pretty sure that Bloodshot didn't do it. But it was surprising. You turn the page and just like, oh, that character is gone. And I kind of like Genius. I was kind of into him. So he had this whole Flowers for Algernon thing going on.
Yeah, he kind of did.
And I kind of wanted to see the end of that in a way because I thought it would have been sad. I guess I wanted to see the end because I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it.
Would have been sad.
It would have been
because I think Flatline would have accepted him anyway.
Yeah.
Until he died, and she may have died along with him.
Boy, she really comes into her own in these two stories.
She does.
Yeah, she's
because we don't really have much of her before this.
Yeah,
don't really know much.
She's
about
just
her.
a lady with cystic fibrosis.
Yeah.
But do you remember the end of the Archer and Armstrong volume where it is Bloodshot in the bathroom looking behind Genius's shoulder? That was the last panel of that Archer.
I do remember that. Yeah.
So that's how that all leads in there. Yep.
And it wasn't until here, like I said earlier, that I didn't notice or didn't realize that it was Genius with Lifeline at the beginning of the book.
Oh, yeah.
It's because the pot belly. It's the pot belly. They made him look so fat in that first one. And then in this one, I was doing a compare and contrast, and this shot right here does not have as much of a pot belly as the one before. He is significantly slimmed down. He's got to be at least 50 pounds lighter in this drawing here. So I didn't know.
Months did take place between.
What month? And he may have gotten some exercise in, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. Yes,
I do know what you are saying. Yes, I know what you are saying. You don't have to.
So Bloodshot eats another animal. Keeps eating animals.
He also ate Big Boy's arm, which was hilarious. You need protein. Well, you got something wrong. I got some right here, chomp. Anyway, he ate another animal, which was funny.
And I love the fight between Bloodshot and Lifeline up on the rocks when she comes at him full power, and she wrecks them both. Bloodshot is in half.
Yeah. Here's the question: did she kill him? In a way, if
there was a prophecy that said that Flatline had killed Bloodshot, would this have counted as fulfilling the prophecy?
Well, I'm wondering because he is so invincible, but he is cut in half and he can't get his legs back. They just can't get them back. So, and would he have died here had PRS not picked up his body
and put it back together? I don't know. Maybe if he ate another puma, he would have grown some legs.
He would have probably just run out of protein and just been in permanent stasis until someone came along and decided to try to feed him.
I thought she was dead.
So did I. I thought she was going to die too.
When I read this first issue, I went in. I for a month I thought she was dead.
That would have been tragic.
Yeah.
That would have been a great
Especially
story.
since you realize that at this panel right here at the bottom of the second to last page, when he's talking to her, that he's, as the reader, Bloodshot didn't kill Genius.
Yeah.
This is, if you hadn't figured it out by now, you're probably figuring it out right here, because he's saying, I gotta let you know. And
the other thing is, right in these last two panels here, is you could see it written on her face that she's come to the realization that he's telling the truth.
You're like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Yeah, and that's the tragedy right there, is that she dies right when she realizes it, and she can't do anything about it. And so it was bittersweet when I knew that she was alive, because it would have been a great plot device. How else will Bloodshot be able to tell them that he didn't kill that Genius? But at the same time, it's great that she lives so that she can go and do what's right, or at least try to do what's right, avenge Genius.
So Kozel here is again in front of another table of suits, because everybody in the Valiant universe who has a suit is a bad guy.
Yep.
This time he didn't bring his lawyer, so nobody is going to get shot. But so Project Rising Spirit, they get Bloodshot back. Why do they put them together? Why do they put them back together? Like, what do they gain from that?
Because Kozel is a very arrogant person who thinks that he can control every little thing.
That's fair.
With it, yeah. So he's got him in this iron lung, which he's calling the tomb, but it's an iron lung. That's the way I look at it anyway. So he thinks that he's, he can't escape out of that. But, you're your own worst enemy. And that's the case here. So the other thing is finally the red scar comes into play. We can see the tube going from his chest to his junk, I guess. I don't know what it's doing.
His torso. And penis.
Why did they have... Did you see in I think it's the next page. It's not the next page. Where is it? The 2 pages over. They have things going to his junk right there. Why? Why? I don't get it.
That's the best way to access his nanites, I guess.
I don't know. It's more humiliating that way or the back end. So it's kind of giving a clue as to what the red scar might do. I still don't get what it does, but it's at least saying it has a purpose.
It's the part of him that doesn't heal.
I know it doesn't heal, but what does that have to do with the healing process if it doesn't heal?
Because it looks cool.
That's not a good enough reason for me. I need a good reason.
Plus, it looks awesome on a T-shirt. Because Bloodshot has 10 T-shirts.
All with the same symbol.
With the target on him. That lady sharpshooter should have shot him right in the target.
Dead center.
So the conversation between Lifeline and Major Palmer was very interesting, because through these 2 volumes where we've been seeing, or actually 3 volumes where we've been seeing the hardcore, Major Palmer has been, he's been tough as nails, but he's also, he's a good guy. But in this, he's kind of weak. He's not as strong as Lifeline. Lifeline wants to stick it to the man. Stick it to the suits, and Palmer's not ready to go there. He doesn't think it's time to do that yet, and it really shows her strength versus his. I think that it was an interesting conversation.
Well, that's not how I took it. I took it as him accepting the knowledge that Kozel was behind the killing of Genius, but since he's older and more experienced, he knows that he needs to strategize and not just go gung-ho.
I see.
So I thought that maybe he was going to try to strategize against Kozel to get him back.
You think if he had another issue to figure it out, then nobody would have ended up in prison at the end? Lifeline is imprisoned by Project Rising Spirit at the end of this. So.
Oh yeah, I feel like what his plan was is to just let it go, have Kozal have that false sense of security, and then attack. But she can't do that because she's younger and she doesn't have that experience, and she just wants to attack now and get the revenge.
Bloodshot really has a Frankenstein monster scene where when he gets out of what you call the iron lung.
Is he putting on the Ritz?
He is Frankenstein.
He is Frankenstein. Yeah. Okay, is that?
Yeah.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I like how he's naked and then all of a sudden he has boxers on. Like, where do they come from?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. He is naked at the top of the page, and then 2 panels later, he's wearing boxers.
Yep. Where did they come from? Maybe he just made them materialize.
It's Puma pelt. I guess they can't have him just running around, flopping.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Terminator-esque.
Because you know what would happen? Granite would see him and go,
and a penis. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger would be a great Bloodshot.
Yeah.
In a real movie.
Yeah, except he's too old now.
Well, yeah, back in his prime,
yeah,
he would have been a perfect Bloodshot.
I bet that. Yeah,
it would probably be, who would it be now? It would probably be
The Rock.
The Rock. That's a good one.
Because you're not sure if he's black or not.
He's Hawaiian.
I know. Being an asshole.
And you called me a racist last episode, which I cut out, so we have to cut this part out.
So what's next?
Well,
what's next for Bloodshot? Because he's out.
I don't know what's next for him because I feel like he's still under somebody's control. He doesn't have control of himself. Something is going to happen to him. He's going to probably get sent out on another mission that he thinks is his own.
I'll let you know this. This is the last issue where the title is called Bloodshot in the Hardcore.
Okay. I still don't know what's up for him. He's still going to be struggling with how he finds himself. He wants to know who he is. And I don't think he's going to find it. It's just going to be another rat race that he's following. And it's going to end nowhere.
And what do you think is next for Hardcore?
I don't know about Hardcore because they're now down to 4 members, and they're all.
Well, no. At the end, though, we get all these new members coming in.
Oh, that's right. They do because
you get the prisoner and the terrorists.
Hardcore, yeah, that's right. I forgot about this. PRS is going pretty global right now, and they're going after these more hard-edged people, and that's going to make Hardcore a lot more hardcore. And it's going to be difficult to take down PRS at this point because they now basically have a virtually unlimited amount of pawns for them to use. They can grab anybody they want to. I mean, if Kozal said that he made a dumb person, a person with cystic fibrosis, and what other ailment the other one had, I can't remember. If he could turn those people into competent beings, then he could pretty much turn anybody into a competent soldier. So they have everybody in the entire world at their disposal, and that's 6 billion plus. So that's an uphill battle of all uphill battles.
Do you agree with their? I mean, not everybody can be in the Hardcore.
I understand. I'm just saying that they're choosing the most toughest people, and I understand that. But I'm just saying, if it were to ever get to that point, they're gonna have to, they're gonna have the toughest here, and then those toughest might die somehow, and then they got to go over the second toughest, and those people might die, and so on and so forth, and then it just gets watered down at that point. But yeah, the Hardcore has a bright future, depending on how you look at it. But it's here to stay.
They look like they could be a group of villains.
Oh yeah.
with
PRS is a villain anyway.
Yeah.
And Hardcore started off as a villain, then a good, then they were good, and then they're villainish, and now they're gonna go villain.
Yeah.
So they're here to stay.
Easter eggs? So I spoiled one of the Easter eggs last
Yes, you did.
last episode
because I kept inquiring about it.
Yeah, so I just say it again. The pull box exclusive variant to issue number 18 by Luis LaRosa was originally it's an homage cover to
Homage.
It's an homage cover to Barry Windsor Smith's take on Bloodshot for the cover of issue number 1.
What is the take on it? Because I don't know what the original cover looked like.
Very similar to this.
Was he laughing and smiling and being all happy? He's like, "Hey."
Would you like me to pull it up for you on my phone?
Yes, as long as you don't pull it out.
The other thing I wanted to say is that Big Boy is from the original Valiant universe. He was a Eggbreaker, a member of Harada's forces. In the first issue of Hardcore, Big Boy kills Maniac.
Ooh. The Maniac dies totally differently.
Yes, yeah. He's killed. They're killed on a raid to the Harbinger Foundation.
By the way, that torture scene was pretty brutal.
Yeah, yeah.
Just giving him enough anesthetic to keep him awake. Not anesthetic, but enough of a dosage to keep him awake and not dead. Just enough but still feel the pain, but just can't do anything about it. Oh, that picture. I've seen that so many times in the back of the book, and I've been waiting for that to
Oh,
cover.
yeah, that's right, because... Oh, but that Barry Windsor Smith image is when they reprinted the old stories. So we're not going to read the old stories unless you want to, but we have enough to read.
I had always seen that picture, and I just wondered, okay. It looks nothing like that one.
No, it's just pose.
It's just pose. Okay.
It's just pose, yeah. Barry Windsor Smith has a very distinct style of drawing, and this was also a chromium cover too, so it's
What's that?
It's metallic looking.
Oh,
pretty neat.
I thought that was
when we do an event coming up. Maybe I'll bring in one of my chromium covers for you to see, because chromium is cool. What's your favorite cover, Nick?
The Terminator one.
I don't know what that means.
It's the Terminator picture. Keep going, 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 keep going. Dun 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 dun. That's it.
Oh, so you like the Bloodshot Hardcore number 23 variant by Perry Perez, where he's like got half a face.
That one's awesome.
You love Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I like Terminator.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I think it's
and they're gonna
fantastic.
ruin it.
Yes,
But
Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 are masterpieces.
My favorite cover, I think. There's a lot of I'm a buff guy with a gun covers here. So my favorite cover is the number 22 variant by Riley Rosmo. It's a picture of Bloodshot, and then it's showing all the different facial things that he can do to change his appearance a little bit. So I just thought it was kind of interesting looking. Even though one of them is Bloodshot with woman lips.
I saw that, and then once I saw that, I got confused, and then I stopped looking.
I think that's my favorite.
So I enjoyed the book for the most part. It was at first when I was just really not sure what to make of what was going on that it was tough for me to continue for a little bit, because I was reading the words, but they weren't registering, and I just kept going. So I got more and more confused as time went on. But as soon as that story happened with Vagabond, that's when I got right into it, and it stayed from there. I mean, I did get the gist of what was going on. What I was reading it just wasn't doing it for me, and I don't understand. I think it was because it was just new characters that I just wasn't anticipating. Just another group of people that I now have to remember who they are and what their powers are. They're just an unlimited amount of those people that come by. So it was a good story. A good story as soon as the Vagabond story took place, and I was hooked.
So let's divide it in 3 parts. You got the Get Some, you got the Zero issue, and you got the Bloodshot versus Hardcore. What was your favorite?
We had to Get Some. What were the other ones?
The Zero issue.
Yep.
And then the Bloodshot versus the Hardcore.
I'm gonna say the Bloodshot versus Hardcore because I really liked what happened between Bloodshot and Lifeline. How Lifeline just needed to get revenge for Genius because she loved him, or at least from what I could sense. And that did not feel like a fake relationship, other than this. Well, who was it? Granite and Kozal.
Yeah, no, Genius and Lifeline. That was fun.
Yeah, that, and so I felt that, and it was dramatic and enjoyable for me to read that, and how Bloodshot needed to try to convince Lifeline, and then once Lifeline realized it, then she just you could see the pain in her eyes. I just thought it was great. That's my favorite arc.
I really like the trade too. I'm kind of sad to see the relationship between Bloodshot and the Hardcore go. I like the Bloodshot and the Hardcore stuff better than I liked Bloodshot on his own in the book, in the first 3 volumes that we read. So I hope that Valiant does more with the Hardcore in the future. Certainly, we know that they're going to do more with Bloodshot, but I'd like to see more with the Hardcore. I think I really loved the Zero issue. I thought it was really well done. I don't think it was as good as Shadowman Zero, which is weird to say.
Shadowman Zero was a phenomenal story.
I know, it's so weird to say that, like, it's our least favorite series, but Shadowman Zero may be the best single issue we've read. It's really up there, you know?
Yeah.
So in terms of Zero issues, it wasn't as good as Shadowman Zero. But I think it was better than some of the other. I thought it was better than the Bloodshot Zero that we read. So, I really like that. I was really sad to see the Genius and Lifeline thing end, because I really like that, and I like Lifeline as a character. I hope we see more of her, especially.
I really thought she was gonna die.
Yeah, I thought she was a goner too. So. It was good. I had a lot of fun reading it.
There was a picture in here somewhere where they really drew Bloodshot. I think it was Bloodshot, and he looked like Tom Hanks. He really looked like Tom Hanks from
Turner and Hooch.
No, Forrest
Castaway.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
He really looked like Forrest Gump. And I'm trying to find that picture, and I can't find it. But I stared at it for so long, going, I can't, like, just amazed at, where is it? Been looking at it for quite a while now. And I thought it was a cover, but it's not a cover. No, it is a cover. Look it. He looks like Tom Hanks. He looks like Forrest Gump.
Oh, from the Hardcore Zero variant by Luis LaRosa.
He looks like evil Forrest Gump with red eyes. All right. Anyway, what are we seeing? What are we reading next? I'm gonna say Rye.
Rye.
I've been wanting to read Rye for a while. You have been bringing it up a lot.
We're close. We're close to Rye. You want me to tell you what episode number Rye is?
No, I do not.
Okay, good. So the next episode will be episode number 31, and in episode 31 we will be reading.
Oh, it's Exo Man of War,
Volume 6.
All right.
And what's it called?
Prelude to Armor Hunters. Ooh, that'll be interesting.
Ooh, what's Armor Hunters?
Armor Hunters are people who are looking for Shanhara.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a very a very educated
It's the
guess.
Vine.
It's the Vine?
Yes. Because they've been wanting that armor for quite a while, and
Well,
hunting it down.
you'll know who the Armor Hunters are
That's a cool picture.
by the end of this. Yeah, that's a Jelena. I cannot pronounce her name. It's by Jelena. Djurjevic. I'm so sorry for butchering your name. Your artwork is beautiful. With the lightning sword. That's the issue to. That's the cover to issue number 25 of Exo-Man of War, and 25 is an anniversary issue,
What does that mean?
double-sized.
What does that mean?
It means that it has a regular story and a bunch of short stories.
Oh. Okay.
So that will be our next episode, where.
Hooray.
So if you would like to contact us, please do. You can do that on Twitter at VE Podcast or email us.
VEpodcast@gmail.com.
You can also find us on our website, vepodcast.wordpress.com.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
Okay, thanks for listening.
And penis.